I know I did the short and gave a really quick review, but this time I wanted to do a full breakdown of this, give proper thoughts, and not be constrained by the 3-minute time mark that is YouTube Shorts. So to start with the robot mode, we have a fantastic looking rendition that is fairly screen accurate to the 86 movie. He commands a presence and looks so clean compared to any previous offerings of G1 Megatron. Everything here is very clean, tidy, the kibble is incredibly minimal despite the way the robot explodes for transformation. And is the robot mode perfect? Like, no, there's definitely a few notable flaws that aren't really screen accurate, and we'll talk about a couple of those and get them out of the way here in a minute. And keep in mind, they're just nitpicks. To start, the fusion cannon is the wrong shape in the center and has a lot of weirdly wrong detail in every way possible. And I've definitely seen plenty of people, they'll just go, "Ooh, the fusion cannon is accurate," and I'm not the first to say that. No, you're wrong. You can compare the cannon on the toy to multiple animation shots in the movie and in the animation model. It's not even remotely close to accurate, but it's good enough for me, right? And also, there is one that's coming with the Skybound Optimus, but that one's also very inaccurate, so it's not going to fix the inaccuracy of the cannon as well. Also, that Prime is like $80 and is just the primed, so a big hell no from me, Chief. Outside of the obvious tank parts in the legs, making them bulkier than they really need to be, there really isn't much else that's horribly inaccurate, and even then the legs end up the way they do because of the modern day alt mode for Megatron, and I'll talk about that more whenever we get to the alt mode, but for now, let's just break down his accessories. So, besides the fusion cannon, what else do you give Megatron? Well, for the 86 movie specifically, you get the sword he used to gut Optimus with, and it looks really nice, and it's one of the few times I wish the blade was cast and clear, but this is all one part with a bunch of paint. It still looks great. The only part I don't like is the peg, but that's also so he can store it on his back. He also gets this little suppressor-looking part that's supposed to go on the end of the tank barrel, and it works really well here for robot mode, but for tank mode, well, we'll get to that. And the last accessory you get is a little gun Megatron, and note, this isn't why he doesn't turn into a gun. Again, we'll get to that eventually, but it is important to have at least some representation of this mode for the 86 movie specifically, since that one scene traumatized generation and still upsets young kids to this day, and a few older fans I'm sure, but hey, at least Hasbro has an excuse to release more dead guy packs at the Bullseye store. The articulation here is also really nice. It's what you expect from a figure of this price point, and I love that more leader-sized figures are getting opening fingers, opening hands, and I love how far Transformers posing has come for affordable figures of this price range as well. Every pose you get him into just looks so dynamic and clean, and maybe there's a couple extra joints I would've liked, but that's just me sitting here being like, come on Hasbro, can we please have more? Can we please have more? Now you're just sounding greedy. The transformation I won't show on camera because I genuinely hate trying to do this type of thing on camera because I have to sit on the ground underneath really bright and warm lights. It's just not comfortable for me to do for a long time, and I also just don't feel like having to go back and redo specific sections of videos over and over until I get it just right. And also, I really hate the annoying comments that are like, "Oh, you mistransformed it," and, moving on. This is a genuinely fun conversion, going from a really sleek robot mode to the way everything just explodes out and compacts in on itself, and it's just a really, really fun process once you get the hang of it. And the tank mode isn't my favorite part of this. I have to admit, it is really solid for what Hasbro had to do with the design of G1 Megatron, and yes, we have a million G1 Megatrons with the tank mode, and I have my nitpicks of this, but all things considered, this is pretty fantastic. The suppressor-looking part from the robot mode is kinda awkwardly mismatched color-wise at the end of it, and it just kinda detracts from the overall look of it, and also the way the tank rotates at the top is, well, it certainly wouldn't be practical or work properly as a tank since the rotation point should be more towards the center of the turret, not the back, but that's also to facilitate the transformation, and could they have done something differently with how it rotates normally? Yeah, but that also would have potentially redone entirely how the arms and torso work. So, I mean, yeah, that aside, this is a pretty fantastic tank mode. And now, for the elephant in the room. Where's the gun mode? It's Studio Series. Why is he a tank and not a Walther P-38? All I keep hearing is, Gunlow say he can't be a gunner. Oh, well, Gunlow say he can't be a gun. And, those are the two most common things, and I initially was thinking, why wasn't he a gun when he was revealed at the time? But also, as time went on, the more outright asinine a giant robot turning into a gun sounded, but there is actually a reason for it. Like, there's a reason he can't turn into one, and it's a lot more than just people saying, well, toy laws say he can or can't, because both are correct, but the side that says he can't turn into a gun are more correct, and there are more reasons for why he can't than you would think. So, to preface this, I don't care about your stance on firearms or anything that could lead to a politically charged conversation. Keep those conversations out of my comments. I am a toy review and gaming channel. Keep that away from me. I am simply stating the facts as close as I possibly can. So also, I urge everybody to actually go and look at your federal, local, and state regulations for toys before you start shouting what Hasbro can and cannot do. There are legitimate reasons why they can't do certain things anymore. So to start, in 1988, a provision was passed inside of the Federal Energy Management Improvement Act, which essentially this provision made it illegal to sell imitation or replica firearms unless it bore certain markings, and, one of those being something like an orange cap at the tip of a barrel, which is pretty simple enough to follow, pretty dummy-proof. Like, it's whenever you start to break down into the state and local ordinances and laws is where you start, to really realize why here in the United States, we will never see a G1 Megatron with a Walther P38 mode. So to keep it simple, the federal regulation is just like a general guideline to follow. Other states will have their own restrictions, like there are several states that disallow the sale of replica firearms in certain colors, and some even require them to be clear or not use colors like silver and black. And to go along with this, there are some states that restrict or outright ban selling replica firearms to minors entirely, and to go even further, some cities in these states also have these restrictions or even stricter rules. All of this to say that it's not that Hasbro won't make a gun for G1 Megatron, it's more that they just actually can't, and it's largely due to the amount of compromises that would have to be made to facilitate the gun mode specifically. The figure itself would be far worse, and it wouldn't even be a good G1 Megatron toy. Like, they couldn't use the correct colors due to restrictions in some states, and since Hasbro makes toys, you guessed it, they're predominantly aimed at children, there's just adult collectors in the market, they wouldn't even be able to make them into a replica firearm because of the laws. Like, it doesn't matter. So to everyone who is still shouting,
but they could do a good Megatron, they just don't want to.
You just don't actually understand the reason behind them not doing it. It makes more sense for them to make him a tank since he's popularly been a tank for years now. There's legitimately no reason for him to turn into a gun in modern day that would make sense either, unless you want to do what Skybound did where they just have the tank mode, shrink it down, and put a handle on it. And even then, there's a better reason they did that than how they explained it in G1. To wrap all this up, for sure this guy is worth buying for the G1 shelf. It might not be a great 86 Megatron specifically for those crying for a gun mode. It's just a really fun toy with phenomenal shelf presence, especially if you have the 86 Starscream throne. Does it sit perfect? No figure I own does, sadly, but for now, this is going to be the definitive G1 Megatron that will remain on my shelf for years, and anyone that wants to replace their Siege or Earthrise one should absolutely get this for their collection. So, with all that out of the way, I hope you guys enjoyed the review, I hope you guys have a fantastic day, week, month with your life, and I'll see you guys in the next review. Goodbye!